Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful October 24th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, the South is doing well today when you think about the Powerball that was played last night. It was in South Carolina.
Wow.
One person hit that $1.6 million payout.
Wow.
And on that payout, Charlton, they're going to get $878 million on a lump sum payment.
Wow.
And South Carolina is one of 8 states, Charlton, that you don't have to declare that you're the winner. You don't have to publicize yourself.
Right.
So they keep anonymity. And that's a beautiful thing, because you think about the pressure that goes on a person that wins that type of money, Charlton.
Yeah.
And everybody is going to come after them. So this person can live quietly, they can disappear quietly, but you know, everybody has a chance in America at some point to get something.
Yep.
And congratulations to that South Carolinian who won the $878 million last night, Charlton.
Wow.
The South is doing well.
Wow, that's pretty good. So Big C, did you close escrow on that home you bought in South Carolina? I just want to make sure if you got proof of funds, Big C, proof of funds. I tell you, all fair in love and war. And you think about love and war and all this fair. $1 billion is nothing. It couldn't. Think about how much money this person just won. That person could not even buy a professional sports franchise. That's how much money is not when you got real money. Like Jerry Jones, when you told Jerry Jones he only had $1 billion, they called 911. Jerry Jones would be under so much stress, Big C. And speaking of stress, I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. And thinking of sunshine, California is known as a sunshine state. Or is that Florida? I know somebody got sunshine and somebody got gold. So we got vibranium gold. Florida has sunshine. Them Dodgers will be singing songs that they wish they all could be sunshine boys. I don't know if that's a song, but it sounds good, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, we talked about it in last night's show, that it would not be an easy setting for the Dodgers to go back to Boston.
Yep.
You're going to deal with the cold, and you can see the steam that everybody was breathing out, even that punk that was sitting in my seat last night because I missed my flight. You know, I hope he got some frostbite on his lips or nose or somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. But, you know, here it is, Clayton Kershaw. You think about what the Dodgers did in Game 1 against the Brewers. They didn't start him.
Yeah.
And they fared well. They started him in Game 1 of the World Series. And, you know, teams got to get out of that thinking that somebody is the #1 guy.
Exactly.
You got to go with what's hot. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's your #1 guy, the guy that's not giving up hits.
Yeah.
Not based on money. We see that players get contracts based on past performance.
Yep.
Not what they're currently doing. Because if they were to go in and renegotiate Kershaw's contract based on what he's doing, Charles, he's got to give back half of that money.
He sure does, Big C. He got to give a
because
lot back.
He gave up. He went 5 innings last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he's on the hook for 5 runs. That's in his last 2 starts.
Yep.
He's given up 5 runs in 5 innings in his last 2 starts that he started the series. So, you know, he's not the answer for the Dodgers, Charlton. I mean, he's better off even being a reliever in these series.
I agree. Well, Big C, I grew up in the church, and I was often told by a lot of my elders, they say the Lord works in mysterious ways. Now, here you were calling, complaining yesterday about your plane being delayed in South Carolina. So you went out there what a lot of good old boys do. They get liquored up when they can't get on the plane, Big C. And all of a sudden, the same place where your plane was delayed, they won $100 billion. Was it $1 billion or $800 million? Something's going line in line, Big C, hand in hand. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, they want a lot of money, Charlie. A lot of ching-ching, you know. I mean, they'll be ching-chinging for a long time. I mean, as they walk down the street, they could have a dime dispenser just dropping dimes. You know, like Hansel and Gretel when they left the trail of
Yep.
Red Cross Shopping.
Yep.
They can leave a trail of dimes wherever they go, just in case they get too naked up and can't find their way back home.
Yeah, that's funny. Like Dorothy said in The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. And in fact, the sunshine, something I was thinking, Big C, that the Dodgers could really use is you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray, but right now the skies are red and black over there in Boston, Big C. Them good old boys from California gonna try to change some things. But I want to get your thoughts because tonight, when you think about the Dodgers, they're starting, Ken Unruh and David Price is starting for the Red Sox on the mound in Boston. Price has only pitched in some cold games. He has a 5.72 ERA in cold weather. Tonight, when you look at Unruh, he's never pitched in a game that's under 49 degrees. The temperature in Beantown is 45 degrees in California. That's hibernation weather, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the cold weather adjusts things on the ball.
Yeah.
Makes the ball move a little differently. It's a little slick. And if you think about last night's game that ended today, Charlton, I mean, it went on and on and on.
Yeah.
These teams last night used 10 pitchers, Charlton.
Wow.
Think about that, 10 pitchers that were utilized in Game 1 of the World Series, 6 pinch hitters. So they were rotating through the lineup, Charlton, getting everybody.
Wow.
Everybody in the game. But you got to give credit to Alex Cora, the manager of the Boston Red Sox, Charlton. This is a guy who was the bench coach last year on last year's World Series champ, the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
And he was hired, a rookie manager, Charlton, that had a World Series pedigree.
Yep.
And he's come in and he's made the Boston Red Sox the best franchise that they've ever been.
Yeah.
They've dominated throughout the regular season. They've dominated their 2 previous series, Charlton, the Gideon series.
Yeah.
And they've gotten to this point again tonight where they're up 1 game. The Dodgers have to solve the problems of this talented Boston lineup. But the biggest problem for the Dodgers tonight, Charlton, is that their 4 home run leaders are not even in the starting lineup. You think of it. This is probably the first time in World Series history that your 4 home run leaders in your lineup, and they're not injured, are not in the starting lineup. So the Dodgers right now really don't have a chance when it comes to the long ball against Boston because their big bats are going to be hibernating, as you said, in the dugout.
Yeah, and speaking of hibernating in those dugouts, Big C, it's hard to go down 0-2, especially when you start out on the road. I know people say you really haven't done anything until you win a game on the road. The Dodgers have been resilient. They've bounced back a lot this year, but they haven't had to bounce back in that cold weather. The last time these 2 good old boys played, back in the 1916 World Series, Boston beat the Brooklyn Dodgers, Big C. It was 4-1. They actually played that in Ebbets Field when they were doing the game for the Dodgers. So tonight, it's must win for L.A. I mean, this to me is what theater is in L.A. People want to manufacture news like LeBron James, whether his agent or whoever has whatever issue. They're manufacturing that, but they can't go to the scoreboard and say, what's in your wallet, like the great Sam Jackson says. I want to get your thoughts, Big C. You've been in pressure situations. What's going through the mind of the Dodgers? They got to understand what you've been saying all playoff series. Forget about Kershaw. Go with the guys that can pitch and get them in maybe game 2, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they know that they're facing a team, Charlton, that was the best in baseball during the regular season.
Yeah.
They know they're facing a team that led the major leagues in runs scored, Charlton.
Yep.
They know they're facing a team with 2 MVP candidates, Charlton, with Martinez and Betts.
Yeah.
And they're in a place, Charlton, that they're not used to playing, Fenway Park.
Yeah.
You have to get comfortable with the surroundings that you're playing in. This crowd is voracious.
It's amazing.
In Fenway Park. I mean, you might get some people stand up every now and then in L.A.
Right.
But they stand up for 9 innings in Boston.
Yeah.
So the crowd is as much as the atmosphere as anything else in the World Series.
Yeah.
And you think about it, the Dodgers spent 4 hours playing last night.
Yep.
4 hours. And both teams were in their game, but that 4-hour time difference, Charlton, that they had to play in their game, that 3-hour time difference from the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, they're a little tired, and now they're coming back again tonight, Charlton. After spending all that time on the field, frustrated from their lack of production, that weighs on you as an athlete, that you're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
Is that you're out there, you're looking at these guys, they're getting these 2-strike hits, Charlton. 2-out hits in the game.
Yeah.
That's what drives you crazy as a franchise, is that when you have a team that you can put away and they come up there, they got 2 strikes and 2 outs, Charlton.
Yep.
They hit a double, Charlton, and all of a sudden they're driving a run.
Yeah. That's tell you what. I think about what you said about that cold. I know you played in different climates, but for people who don't understand the cold, because California, to be honest, I was out with some business partners in San Francisco last night, just talking about some banking business that's coming into California. Also a program known as EB-5, the program that allows you to have, if you have $1 million, you can buy your citizenship in the United States as long as you hire 10 employees. That's why a lot of the buildings in downtown San Francisco, that's Hong Kong money coming in. They put $1 billion down to buy their citizenship, while Trump is trying to build walls to hold out people who don't have $1 million. You can read between the lines with that, Big C. But when you talk about what the Dodgers need, what's the psychological thing that you got to go through when you go from a warm weather, 70 degrees in California sunshine, to where it's 45 degrees? We don't even see that type of weather in California unless it's deep into the heart of winter, and nobody really goes outside then, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's at the start of the game, and you think about last night's game that lasted 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that temperature dropped even more. And when you're sitting around in baseball versus all other sports, Charlton, is that you get stiff. You don't have the opportunity to keep warm. You don't have any place where you can run up and down the sideline like in football or those heated benches that they sit on in football, those big jackets.
Yeah.
Baseball, think about the guys when they're standing out there in the outfield, Charlton, idle, when a pitcher has command.
Yep.
Is that you're standing there and you're chilling and you can't warm yourself up.
No.
So when a ball is hit in your direction or even in the gap, you might be a little slow and you jump.
Yep.
Getting to that ball. So a lot of things are affecting the Dodgers when it comes down to this time of the year, Charlton. When you get these cold weather games and you got an East Coast team that's in the playoffs, in the World Series, Charlton, and you have to come from the West. You think about that even with the A's when they had to go to New York.
Yeah.
They were coming from California. They came out to New York, they got slaughtered.
Yeah.
The same thing is occurring with the Dodgers coming to Boston, Charlton. You're coming out there in 40-degree weather. You're not accustomed to that. There's half the temperature that you're accustomed to on a regular basis in California.
Yeah.
And it affects you, even with the pitcher. That ball is getting a little slick with the moisture, Charlton, in the air. And it rained a lot in Boston yesterday prior to the game.
Yeah.
And not only that, you think about that bat. The bat becomes harder when it gets cold, Charlton.
Yep.
The ball doesn't bounce off of it as well as it used to in that 80 and 90-degree weather in California.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Boston. They showed how well their offense can beat down on pitching. Even if they say the best pitching, I'm just going to say Kershaw's not the best pitcher anymore. Sometimes you get exposed when they put you out there. And again, my Hall of Fame broadcast, for instance, Charlton. Our job is to tell people what we want them to see, not what they're really seeing with their eyes. And I think you can see that the confidence is not there in a pitcher making over $130 million a year in Kershaw. He's doing his best, but sometimes your best is not good enough. And I don't know if anything's going to be different tonight. The Dodgers are most likely going to have to, suck it up until they get back home, and hopefully that they can warm up with that California sunshine. But I want to go another angle too, Big C. We always talk about the athletes. What are managers saying to their players? Obviously, Boston wants to, it may not make a lot of sense to a fan, but it will to you. They want to take their time between pitches. They're not trying to pitch fast. They're not trying to take the game and make it any faster. You talked about how long that game went. Is that also a strategy on the part of the Red Sox, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Cora understands the elements of Boston, Charlton. He understands how the weather affects players. And it's like with Robert, you don't put your best players out there. You don't always give yourself an optimum opportunity to win.
Yeah.
His top home run hitters, Charlton, are sitting on the bench tonight to start the game, just as they were last night, because Cora understands. Let me pitch a left-handed pitcher, which these guys allegedly have a problem in hitting.
Yep.
If you're a major league hitter, Charlton, you hit a guy whether he's a right or left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
But I think this is a strategical problem for the Dodgers, not putting your best home run hitters in the lineup and expecting to beat the best hitting team in baseball.
Yeah.
You take half of your productivity out of the lineup, Charlton.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. So, obviously, you called it. I think most of the national pundits are starting to see Kershaw's a liability in Game 1. They've gotten a read on him over the years. There's a reason he hasn't won a World Series, Big C. They've gotten a read on him, and they've gotten his confidence. They've knocked him out. They've tried to say, well, he's not pitching that great because he's injured. Well, if he's injured, why is he starting Game 1 of the World Series on the road in the cold? So we can cut through that garbage. sometimes you just got to say, look, we need someone else to start, and you need to take a back seat to it. And hopefully the Dodgers might figure that out by the time they get back to L.A., if they have a chance to even continue this series, because they're not going to go back to Boston and sweep the Boston Red Sox. If they don't get tonight, it might just be in L.A. and then done, Big C. They kind of gave up the ghost last year when they were playing the Houston Astros, which had a similar team. But I think this Boston team is better than the Houston team that beat them last year in Game 7, Big C. Your thoughts?
A much better lineup, Charlton, from top to bottom. When you think about they outscored everybody in baseball by over 100 runs this past season, actually by over 200 runs.
Yeah.
That's an amazing lineup, Charlton, that there's no weakness in the lineup.
No.
And the thing about being in Boston, you use the DH, Charlton. The Dodgers not used to using the DH during the regular season, but it gives them an advantage because they got another bat in the lineup. But here it is, Cora, the manager of the Red Sox, knows how to manipulate that and put it in different places in the lineup, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they've been productive with it all year.
Yep. I tell you what, we talked about just yesterday, that 1975 Cincinnati Reds team. And I was asking you, Big C, what team reminds you, or what team does this Boston team remind you of? Is it the Dodgers that won it back in '88? Is it Houston from last year? Or you went way back to 1975, Big C. You went as far back as you went to go get that winning lotto ticket in South Carolina the other night, Big C. I noticed when I called your voicemail a couple of times a day, it didn't have the normal message. It kept saying bling bling, bling bling. I kept saying hello. It kept saying bling bling. And now I hear the lotto ticket was won where you have the hold of it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Tucker, it would have been a beautiful sight. I don't know if I'd have been able to do the show tonight. I'd probably still be passed out. It'd have been like the late Robert Leach, champagne and caviar dreams. I'd have been in that story. I'd played Odell Beckham last year, been out on the yacht somewhere.
With mozzarella cheese, I hope not, Big C. No mozzarella cheese on this trip. But I do, again, appreciate your presence last night and saying, Charlton, if the Dodgers start Kershaw, they're going to lose Game 1, and no other sportscaster in the universe called it the way you did, Big C. I want to get on your thoughts about one thing as we switch over to the NBA. You think about Blake Griffin. He goes off for a career-high 50 points. I mean, he can play that way at times. He's a guy that can jump over cars in a commercial. Yeah, maybe some CGI, but you can get 50 points, and he had a 133-132 overtime win versus the 76ers. So he doesn't pass the ball much. Why don't we see that performance consistently, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think when he was with the Clippers, he had a little bit of shackling on him.
Yeah.
When you look at the lineup they had out there, he wasn't the only guy on the team. I mean, he's not the only guy on the team in Detroit. But, he's gotten more of a free reign. They're trying to make this his team.
Yeah.
And get him to be the go-to guy. And 50 points was an outstanding career high for him last night in that overtime win versus the Sixers. So many people had touted the Sixers as being the best team in the East, and they haven't dominated anybody thus far this year, Charlton. But when you look at the NBA as a whole, right now the NBA is on a record-scoring pace. You think about this year, Charlton, there are 5 teams right now in the NBA averaging over 120 points a game, Charlton. Wow. 5 teams. There are 20 teams averaging over 110 points a game.
Wow.
So when you think about productivity in this league right now, it's coming out in leaps and bounds. And so that's what everybody, is looking at, is that the productivity, the defense in all professional sports seem to have gone awry.
Yeah.
When you think about it, the NFL, the scoring is up in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because you can't touch people in certain ways anymore.
Right.
The NBA has gotten that way where, you're playing with, Q-tips to touch somebody and defend somebody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've taken the physicality out of these sports unless you got to have a fight.
Yeah.
And so the scoring is up. They can say that's for the fans.
Yeah.
But for the purists of the game, Charlton, you like to see some defense being played. You look back in the days when you had Wilt patrolling the lane. You had Dennis Rodman, who could match up on anybody in the NBA.
Yep.
These players, the bad boys in Detroit, the Pistons, who were a very physical defensive team for years under Chuck Daly.
Yeah.
And they enforced their will on people, Charlton. The Eastern Conference in basketball used to be just a beatdown.
Yeah.
And people knew if you could make it through the East, you could make it through anywhere.
Yeah.
The Knicks had a very physical team for a long time with Ewing.
Yep.
And Anthony Mason.
He was amazing.
And Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
Very physical players, Charlton. And so a lot of those players have gone by the wayside. We see so many players, Charlton, now, even the 7-footers who want to hang out on the three-point arc.
Yep. Yep.
And so the purity of the game has gone by the way of scoring, Charlton.
Yeah, I agree. And I love what you said. When we think about how dominant that game was last night by Griffin, all because he scored 50 points, Big C. Big C, that was Wilt's average. When he checked into the office, Big C, he was dropping 50. I mean, he dropped 50 a lot the way a lot of guys drop 20 nowadays. And the fact that he actually scored 100 points in the game, when Blake Griffin does it, or LeBron James does it, or Steph Curry, it makes world news. Oh my God, the best performance in the universe! But that's not comparing to what Wilt did every night he went to work. Talk about that difference that you've seen. You saw Wilt play back in the day. You've seen the guys that they call great now. Big C, what's the difference?
Well, Charlton, the guys were dominant. I mean, it wasn't. You think about that era, Charlton, of great basketball players that didn't have a three-point shot.
Yep.
And now that they have the assistance of the three-point shot. The game was physical. I mean, it was not uncommon, Charlton, to see players coming out of the game with stitches, scratches on their arms, on their face, Charlton. This game, elbows were like lunch. People passed them out.
Yeah.
So, you look at the player today, and the NBA has created this no-touch zone in basketball.
Yeah.
You think of all the fouls that Wilt got were recalled on him, against him, Charlton. Players foul Wilt every play. It's like you could call holding on an offensive lineman every play in football.
Yeah.
It was the same way every time Wilt touched the ball. Every time Kareem touched the ball, Charlton, you could call a foul on their opponent every play.
Yeah.
Because they physically beat them up.
Yep.
And in today's world, Charlton, people will equate Shaq to that because he was so big. And people say, well, he's so big that people can do that and get away with it. But it's still a body that you're making physical contact with.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, because he didn't fall down, we're not going to call the foul. It's still a foul.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you look at college basketball.
Yeah.
And people think about the great scorers in college basketball. They see the guys that come out of college now and they say, wow, he's going to be the next great.
Yeah.
None of them ever dominated even on the college level, Charlton. When you look at the first round of the NBA draft, those kids don't even spend time in college.
Wow.
You think about somebody who's like Pistol Maravich, who played at LSU. You think about this. Averaged 45 points a game in college.
Wow.
45 points a game. There was no two-point shot, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when people raved over Trae Young coming out of Oklahoma saying that he was like Steph Curry and was going to set the league on fire.
Right.
Steph Curry couldn't even score with Pistol Pete Maravich when he was in college. Nobody could, Charlton. You think about what he averaged. 45 points a game. You realize that you would have to go to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
And average 15 three-point shots a game.
Wow.
To break his record.
Wow.
Think about that. 4 years.
Yep.
And 15 three-point shots a game to break this guy's record, who never had a three-point shot any time while he was in college.
Isn't that incredible? I just hope that people would see, if they had Sports Center back in the day when them good old boys were doing their thing, they would dominate because of what they did within the two-point range. I think you just said something that's so powerful for a lot of the young coaches, whether it's Krzyzewski or you even go to Self. It doesn't matter who it is. Going back in the days of John Wooden, even Jerry Tarkanian. Tarkanian with them running Rebels, Big C, they were not always about shooting threes. They were about running the ball up and down the court and getting to the basket. I think that's something that's a lost art. But some of the old timers, they did that. That's why they scored so much. When you shoot three-point baskets, you're only going to drop your percentage to about 33, 35%. When you go to the basket, you're shooting about 90%. Big C, that make any sense? Your thoughts?
Well, you got to realize when the Running Rebels were started, Charlton, 1977, when the Running Rebels averaged 122 points a game, there was no three-point shot in basketball.
Exactly.
And no three-point shot in basketball, they averaged 122 points a game.
Yep.
Because of Jerry Tarkanian's up-tempo offense. Nolan Richardson later called his 40 minutes of hell.
Yeah.
But if he was 40 minutes of hell with a three-point shot, he can't even say what Jerry Tarkanian was on air. Because you get bleeped out the whole conversation.
He's a 40 minutes of blippity blip blip.
You know, there was a whole lot of blippity blip going on with the running Rebels back then.
Yeah, that's funny.
And they took everybody out behind the woodshed.
They sure did.
So, I mean, when you look at athletes, and you know, you talk about Tarkanian on the college football, on the college basketball landscape.
Yeah.
He'll never get the credit that he deserves as far as developing players.
Yeah.
You think about the era that he coached in, and all of these other programs, Charlton. Nobody ever equaled what Tarkanian did, Charlton.
No.
They never equaled that. That point production that he produced with the Rebels down in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And not only that, turning out players into the NBA.
Yeah.
They became solid NBA players.
Yeah.
Everybody will always think of the scandalous part of what followed him in his legacy. But what he did, Charlton, is what's commonplace today in college basketball. As a matter of fact, but when you think about what happened today in court, the Adidas had 3 representatives convicted in New York.
Oh, really?
On funneling money to college basketball players and families and representatives to influence them, Charlton, to go to certain schools. You talked about Bill Self. One of his players were one. Adidas was the company that was funneling the money, and you look at these schools, Charlton, that wear Adidas apparel, whether it's the shoes and the uniforms. Look at the top-ranked players, and people have always wondered why players have gone to Kansas.
Yep.
Of all places.
I thought they'd find the Wizard of Oz. I thought they were going to find the Wizard of Oz, Big Z. Was I wrong?
Well, Wilt Chamberlain told people years ago he was out there for the money. Wilt could have played anywhere. And Wilt said that he was in Kansas for the money, and this was back in the 50s.
Yep.
So, you know, and this was the most sought-after player in the country.
Yeah.
And he goes to Kansas because the payroll was bigger. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, and people have always wondered, how are these little schools staying where they are?
Yeah.
I mean, and you're going to get a lot more programs. I mean, if you look at just Adidas, I mean, Nike's in that same boat.
Yep.
These top-flight schools, Charlton, don't keep getting the great players. I mean, Duke got 3 of the top 5 freshmen in the country.
Wow.
You know, this year.
Yep.
And they're all ranked in the top 5 in the NBA draft, okay?
Yep.
1, 2, and 4.
Yep.
In the NBA draft position. They just don't go to these schools, Charlton, you know, by chance.
Yeah.
There's something that's funneling these kids into these schools, Charlton. And here it is, you know, here it is. They're all going to be at Duke. Well, what's going to happen with that program?
Yep.
You know, you keep refunneling these kids. You know, everybody's talking about your buddy John Calipari. Saying, well, you know, John's doing something wrong. John's doing what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
And you look at this. Syracuse had a kid that was the number 13 recruit in the country, okay?
Yeah.
He decommitted from Syracuse. He said he's going to play in the NBA G League.
Yeah.
All right? What he did, Charlton, was sign $1 million contract with Under Armour.
Yep.
He signed $1 million contract with Under Armour to play in the G League.
Yeah.
Now, here's a guy who is not in college. He's not with a professional team, but he's going to get $1 million. The G League pays players probably $20,000 a year.
A year. Yep.
A year.
Yeah.
He has $1 million shoe contract to not go to college. So,
wow.
I mean, they're paying players however they can pay them, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, so now the players are getting smart, and they said, forget it. We'll just forego college and all that. We'll sign with the G League and get a shoe contract. We'll take everybody out of the equation.
Let's take out the middleman. A Big C, that is a great story. There's a movie, we talked about it before. Sam Jackson was in that movie, The Pulp Fiction, and he told Punchy, I think it was Bruce Willis back, and it was John Travolta was in there, Uma Thurman, and a lot of good old boys were in that movie. But I think Sam Jackson has the best range of a lot of actors out there, especially some of the top actors. But Vin Rames told Bruce, he said, you go down in the 4th round. And people think, oh, that's just talking, that's just part of a movie. But you talk about Kansas, there's a lot of people, and Tarkanian knew a lot of those people who were doing the same thing. A lot of schools are doing that same thing. They know that it takes money. It takes money to get people there. And I'm glad you bring it up, because you've been bringing it up ever since we started Big C Sports, even though some people are seeming like, I'm surprised that Self a program that Self is running. Are you sure under some type of investigation, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, I think that everybody, especially every analyst from a sport that's on television, knows that there's always been a money trail.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the football analysts, Jonathan, when you look at the basketball analysts, even the baseball analysts, from a young age, there's been a money trail that swayed players to go places.
Yeah.
I still got some change left over from when I got mine in college, okay? I didn't spend it all. I still got some change left.
Yeah. Well,
when you think about that, and, people want to sit around, and it's like these three individuals that were convicted today in New York.
Yeah.
What, and just like when Patino lost his job at Louisville.
Yep.
They're saying inappropriate payments. In Arizona last year when Aiton was suspended, the coach was suspended for the first game of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
For alleged payments to a player.
Yeah.
There are no alleged payments anywhere. The payments have been made, okay?
Yeah, allegedly.
The payments have been made since the 50s.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
And you think about it, when minority players, Charlton, couldn't go to predominantly white schools.
Yeah.
For those predominantly white schools now to get those great minority players, Charlton, they started paying them.
Yeah.
They started paying them to leave the traditional black schools because there was still no advantage of going to a predominantly mainstream school, Charlton, in the 50s.
That's a good point.
Even in the 60s, there was no advantage. There was still segregation. You could go to school, but you couldn't even sleep in a hotel with the rest of the team, Charlton.
Isn't that something?
They had to put you in some other hotel. You couldn't eat the same restaurant with the team, Charlton.
Yep.
You had to eat in another restaurant or eat in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So there was no advantage for a black player, Charlton, to go to a mainstream university in the 50s and 60s unless there was some financial advantage. And that's where the payment started.
Yeah.
It started with the superstars like Wilt, and it continued on up and down the line, Charlton, because why go there and be abused when you're trying to get an education?
That's
the only time that you were going to be revered was when you were on the field playing football or on the court playing basketball.
Yeah.
Other than that, the N-word was going to be popped at you all the time, and every racial epithet that was coming out of somebody's mouth was going to be directed at you.
Yeah.
And you would have had to accept that being in those southern schools, Charlton, because you had no recourse for it.
Yep.
So the only thing that softened that blow for those players, Charlton, was the money that they were getting from the program. And that money trail has gotten larger and larger because you often wonder, how do these little schools all of a sudden end up with a big player?
That's a good
Years
point.
ago, I mean, everybody remembers Ralph Sampson.
Yes.
Yes, he was from Virginia. But why did he stay in Virginia? And Virginia was a nowhere program.
Yeah.
It was nowhere. All of a sudden, Ralph Sampson shows up. It's an elite program. It was going to be an elite program anywhere he went.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you get the best player in the country, and you've never won more than 15 games in a season.
What a bargain. What a bargain, Big Z. I did what I say, sports is a billion-dollar industry, and girls and boys sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry for every athletic and sporting event. You need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. Last night in San Francisco, I think San Francisco is so gorgeous. The topography, crossing the Bay Bridge, looking into the city, the new 90-story Salesforce Tower. It's a jewel, Big C. It has like the wavy clouds going over the top of the building about 90 stories high. But what I notice about San Francisco going into the city, you pay going in, you don't pay coming out. That city's being gentrified. The landscaping is so gorgeous. You have AT&T Park to the south of the Golden Gate Bridge, just south of AT&T Park where the Giants play by McCovey Cove. They're building the new Chase Center. Just visiting that center last night. It's going to be a beautiful place. You can take your yacht up to the plate. Big C, I think you can even go. You can go catfishing in the bay. I think it might be too cold because catfish are bottom dwellers. Do they swim on the bottom or do they swim to the top like a dolphin, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you had to fish with some striped bass or something in that salt water there in the bay. They would be good in that area, but, catfish too deep for that. And with some of the bodies that are done in the bay in San Francisco, I don't think I want to eat that catfish.
Yeah, it might be more than you're fishing for, Big C. So in order to keep the Southerners out, they moved the arena away from Oakland, where there's a lot of catfish over there by the estuaries, Big C. They moved it across, we could say across the pond, but it's really across the bay. Well, Chase Center, And I want people to realize why it's being built over there. It's a beautiful facility. But EB5, you got to understand what that's for. That's for foreigners to come into the United States of America. If you have $1 million, you can buy your citizenship. You don't have to jump over a wall. Trump's not talking about building a wall to cut out EB5. So the money that's coming into San Francisco is from Hong Kong. They're not going down to B of A. This is being named the Chase Center. But those skyscrapers being put up, that's Hong Kong money. And when you see the area, Big C, there are a lot of African Americans that you don't see anymore. I remember the Hunters Point area back in the day. You saw a great diversity of African Americans. The NBA is predominantly an African American league. Everybody knows that. But they're pricing out so many people of color when they gentrify these neighborhoods that you have a beautiful stadium, but not many people can go. Big C, talk about how wrong that is. I know it's great to have progress, but there's no clause built in there to say that you gotta at least contribute to some type of distribution of wealth when it comes to people you're displacing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everybody's in business to turn a profit. That's what the owners are looking at. And so they're looking at the best deal for them, just like with a player.
But they get taxpayer money too, Big C. They get taxpayer money too. It can't just be the owner.
But see, this is what we're talking about when everybody talks about suppressing the vote.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have to, they're not suppressing the vote. The owner's not suppressing any votes.
No.
It's the local citizens that get, as you say, gentrification.
Yep.
When they don't go vote, they make themselves disenchanted, Charlton.
Yep.
Disconnected.
Yep.
If you don't go down and vote against a referendum that's on the ballot, and that referendum is to give some arena, $1 billion out of the local tax,
yep,
instead of giving it to the schools or the education system, or even any, revitalization of any community area.
Exactly.
They build an arena. So it's not that the teams are pricing them out. The general public prices themselves out, Charlton, because they refuse to vote.
Yeah.
Everything that's put on the referendum in San Francisco, this stadium was put on the referendum.
Yeah.
But when the people don't show up and vote, they say, oh, well, my vote is not going to count. We've heard that too long from society.
Yeah.
My vote is not going to count. Yes, it does. They count 1, 2, 3. That's how they start counting.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So when you go put your vote on the ballot, Charlton,
yeah,
it makes a difference. So when all of a sudden when you lose something, all of a sudden you say, wow, we've been left out. But when was the last time I haven't voted in 12 years? Damn, look how much has happened in your general area in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Things don't move by decades now. They move by day.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't done something today, tomorrow you may not have the opportunity for it.
That's so true.
All of those people, when you talk about those teams leaving the Bay Area, the Raiders,
yeah,
the Warriors, and even the A's, there's been talk about them leaving. There's constantly been votes put on the referendum about building new stadiums.
Yeah.
But the local taxpayers said, no, we don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
We don't want to do it. We're not going to take any more money out of our pockets and pay for this billionaire. Well, the billionaire is going to get what he wants. So if you can keep him in your area and hopefully benefit that area that you're in, then you have to look at that. You got to look at the long-term projection.
Yeah.
But the local fan is as much as fault for a team leaving an area, Charlton. And even when you look at the Raiders, I guarantee you 50% of the Coliseum's population out there, Charlton, doesn't even come from Oakland. It comes from outside because it's California's team. You think about people still come from Los Angeles to go to those Raider games. Yeah. Because they commuted, and even Oakland people commuted to Los Angeles while they were down there. So you got fans from two cities watching the game. I know I saw the Raiders on TV when they played the Chargers. Yeah. There were more Raider fans in the stands than there were Charger fans.
And the Lightning bolts, I understand. That's true.
It was all black. There was a few dots of blue in the stands, but they were black jerseys all through the stands. So when you think about fans not benefiting the teams that stay there, that provide the revenue, and has provided it for decades, that vote and that tax that may increase your tax, your local tax on your home or sales tax on gas or food, Charlton, a few pennies, and you balk at that. That's the advancement of society. Everything increases. So when those ticket prices increase, because you didn't want to be a part of what that owner was doing, so he took that arena elsewhere, and it cost him more, so he has to raise the ticket price higher, Charlton.
Yeah, he does, Big C. And so California is named after a black woman, Queen Calafia. It's called California. It's named after a black woman. But oftentimes, as cities are regentrifying, is pushing black Americans out. 1841, William Alexander Leidesdorff Jr., he sailed a U.S. commercial shipping vessel. It's called the Julian into a sleepy Mexican village called Yerba Buena. That forever transformed the city of San Francisco, where we did our show from yesterday, into a cosmopolitan world maritime city. You think about what happened with that, Big C. He owned over 35,000 acres up in the Northern California, Sacramento Valley. Yesterday was William Leidesdorff Jr. Day, October 23rd. We were there in San Francisco celebrating that. The 31st state in the United States, he was elected treasurer in San Francisco, on the largest home construction and constructed in the first in the city of San Francisco to build a big hotel. Black men did that. The pre-gold rush Sacramento Valley in 1845, he accepted the position in the United States Vice Consul at the Port of San Francisco. Big C, EB-5 allows investors with a minimum $1 million to become U.S. citizens. Pushing out black Americans. I want African Americans to know this as well as others, because we're so busy ogling over athletes, wondering if LeBron James is going to help the Lakers win a game in the first 4 games, and not knowing the things that we're not doing is helping us be misplaced. I also want to bring up down south in Georgia, 53,000 obstructed votes. I'm talking to business people in San Francisco, and many people that know Willie Brown, who's one of the most powerful men in San Francisco, and a lot of people just so sports drunk, they don't even know when their land's being taken from them. And I'm glad you brought it up that they don't vote, Big C. Voting changes things, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's an inalienable right that was fought for decades by minorities. Many lives lost, Charlton, and changed trying to get the opportunity to vote. And to not have respect for the history of African America, Charlton, as a black person in America, Charlton, that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Like I said, you should go to some of these museums in Birmingham as well as Washington, D.C. And see what lives cost, Charlton, to get this opportunity for us to have in this day and age.
Yep.
To be able to go out and vote. Our Supreme Court is stripping away voting rights acts left and right, Charlton, because they don't want minority influence controlling politics.
Yeah.
They don't want any part of that. They want to say that we can do what we want to do to you. But you allow them to do that because you have the right as an American citizen to go vote. They may say that you double voted, you don't have the right to vote. All you got to do is register.
Yep.
You can do that any day at the post office, anywhere, Charlton. Go register.
Yeah.
Just do it. But we don't do it because we don't have time.
Yeah.
We've learned what the cell phone is, and so we spend our lives on the cell phone instead of understanding politics on that cell phone, which is a computer. You're watching YouTube.
Yeah.
You're watching some music video. That's what you're paying attention to. Some sporting event. You're not sitting there educating yourself to what you need. We talk about athletes going to school. Athletes don't go to school anymore. When you look at these one-and-done guys, especially in college basketball, they go to school 1 year and they're done. Football said, well, you got to spend at least 3 years past your graduating class in high school before we're going to let you go and make money.
Yeah.
But, the Major League Baseball said, hey, we take them right out of high school. We don't care. We're not going to listen to you guys.
Yeah.
So when you talk about guys having an opportunity, and so much of society, because we talk about youth sports is the feeder, Charlton, for the rest of these teams.
Yep.
Okay? But when you look at every superstar athlete in college basketball, how many of them had teammates that are superstar college basketball players?
Yep.
Some of them might have had one, but the majority of them had none, that they were just the dominant player on that team.
Yeah.
And they moved on. The rest of the guys will have jobs in their local community or go to the junior college.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it comes down to education, Charlton. It comes down to voting. Education will force you to vote.
Yeah.
It honestly will. Because now you want to understand how your money is spent, how your money works for you. And it starts with electing your local and state and federal government officials, Charlton.
I believe so. I ran across Michael Harris and also Leah Johnson, very strong in making sure that people understand that there was actually a Black Wall Street, Big C. I know people say, well, let's focus on what team is going to build a new arena, what city they're going to build it in, how much is it going to cost. how much money are some of these athletes making? But there's actually been a Black Wall Street in the United States, one in Sacramento, also down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, both destroyed by the federal government. I think that's important to know as much as it is the Chase built, and it's going to be a place in Northern California. So I hope that people pay attention to that. I want to throw your thoughts back into something that's NFL-based. Because talking about the NFL, Northern California, the Oakland Raiders, if you go by the Coliseum, they have a big patch on the Coliseum called Ricky Henderson. It's like Ricky Henderson's field, where he was one of the most prolific, base stealers in the history of Major League Baseball. In fact, in the baseball universe, probably the best base stealer of all time, Big C. And we have that up there, but not the fact that black men, that the state of California is named after a black woman, the Queen Calafia. We got to let people know how important it is to vote, because that's not well known. It's not well known because the people in power don't have the interest. I just don't want us to be dumb sycophants athletes. They're not going to get this on the mothership. They're only going to get it on Big C Sports. But the Oakland Raiders, and you talked about this too, I'm starting to think you are prescient. I'm starting to think maybe you are the mystic, Big C. How long will the Raiders talk about trading Derek Carr to Jacksonville? Now, when the season began and Gruden was named a $100 million coach, no one talked about Carr leaving. Only one person in the universe talked about that. His name is Big C. Big C, what were you seeing then that everybody's seeing now, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, John Gruden, has he has 9.5 years left on his contract. So he has the time, and I told you, this is a 5 to 8 year project with him.
Yeah.
He plans on moving this team to Vegas, Charlton, with his players.
Yeah.
Not with the players that he inherited.
Yeah.
He wants to go into this town and have control over players, and I can cut you, I'll trade you without any hesitance.
Right.
Because the general manager will no longer be there, Charlton, that they have now. He's going to be gone.
Yep.
They're going to put in a guy that Gruden likes as a GM, even if he may carry both titles with the money that he makes, Charlton.
Yeah.
I can't see them hiring somebody else. But Derek Carr, when you're getting rid of the weapons around him, you think about it, Marshawn Lynch is not playing. You trade your top receiver, you alleged top receiver.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is right down the road. And you got to look, there's two landing places for him, Charlton. The New York Giants are there, the Jacksonville Jaguars are there.
Yeah.
I mean, Blake Bortles is a testament that Colin Kaepernick should be playing in the NFL.
Isn't that something?
But he won't get a job. But they would make a trade. I mean, and if he comes to Oakland and play, Charlton, then you can get rid of him after the year and don't worry about it. You say, hey, we're just going to let this go because he didn't pan out in either place.
Yeah.
And Gruden wants to draft his own quarterback because he wants to prove to everybody that he's this quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
That he can take a guy out of the college ranks and develop him. But, Derek Carr, the trade deadline comes up in a week or so in the NFL. He's on the block. They may not say it, but he's on the block to go, Charlton.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go, he will get traded in the offseason, but he will not finish his career as an Oakland Raider. This is a team that's tanking right now, Charlton, and they're trying to get a high draft pick as well as the New York Giants are.
Yeah, and when they get him, they're going to trade him anyway. I heard Eli Manning, your friend, Big Z, he said in a statement, and I'm paraphrasing, that he would be surprised. He has a no-trade clause anyway, so it don't even matter talking about it, but it's worth bringing up. He was saying that with his record, I think they're 1-6, that he expects to be New York Giants for life, Big C. That's telling the fans, we don't care about winning, we just care about my feelings. Well, why is it that a man like Eli, people care about his feelings? No one cared about Doug Williams' feelings when he threw 5 touchdowns in the first half of the Super Bowl and the Redskins blew up the Broncos. No one cared about his feelings. They didn't care about Randall Cunningham's feelings when he set records for the Minnesota Vikings, had a banner season and couldn't find a job when he was still able to play. And who was that good old boy that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers with Joe Gilliam? When he had an 11-game winning streak, they brought Bradshaw back in to get a Super Bowl. No one cared about Colin Kaepernick's feelings when he was 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And they said, well, he's not good enough. We got a guy that's thrown about 9 interceptions in 4 games before he got hurt. And Garoppolo, give me your thoughts on why are they concerned about his feelings, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, you missed the biggest one, Jim Plunkett.
Jim Plunkett.
2 Super Bowl victories.
Yeah.
They didn't care about his feelings
That's
when
true.
they got rid of him.
That's true.
So, and here's Eli Manning can make that statement safely.
Yeah.
He plans on being a New York Giant for life.
Yeah.
That key point that you made, he has a no-trade clause in his contract.
Yep.
So they can't do anything with him other than cut him, John.
Yeah.
They can't trade him
unless
he wants to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yes, he's going to be a New York Giant until they cut him, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he agrees to a trade.
Yep.
So he was very accurate in what he said.
Yeah.
But it doesn't benefit the program, Charlton. When you think about the Giants, they're getting rid of players.
Yeah.
They're making trades. They're sending off some of their best players on defense, and I guess the defense has something to do with Eli not being able to throw the ball.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still working on that, trying to figure that out. You know, how does the defense affect Eli not being able to throw the ball?
Yeah.
Because you're cutting your best defensive tackles, your best defensive back, Charlton. You get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
You know, Eli Apple and Damian Harris, they're gone.
Yeah.
They were both starters, and you trade them. Why do you trade defensive players, Charlton, and you can't score points? I'm trying to figure that out. But Eli Manning said, I'm going to be a Giant for life. Everybody else got to go.
Now, isn't that something? Colin Kaepernick can't get a job, has to sue the NFL over collusion. The man set better records than Eli Manning did. And the short time that he was allowed to play in the league, he was more successful. Just Google his winning percentage compared to the great Eli Manning. But he can't get a job. And Eli's saying, I'll leave when I feel like leaving. He's saying to Mara and the NFL owners, Big C. Talk about white lives matter and white skin privilege according to so many authors that have talked about that, Tim Wise being one of them. And I don't think many people see that. Here's a man that cannot win telling you that I'm going to leave when I feel like leaving. But we all know all's fair in love and war. I want to just add your thoughts as we talk on something on the college football scene. Could Notre Dame end up being the #1 ranked college football team at the end of the season? Because their season right now only has maybe USC as a team that can knock them off, but the Trojans couldn't even beat Utah. Big C, your thoughts?
They couldn't, Jonathan, but when you look at Notre Dame's position in the rankings, they're ranked number 3 right now. Clemson still has tough games in front of them. Florida State game is not going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Just because Clemson's undefeated and Florida State has been down, you get up for games like that. Look how Florida State got up from Miami, even though Miami came back and beat them in the end.
Yeah.
They were in that game. They were leading that game, Charlton. They got conservative. Look at Alabama. Alabama still has to face LSU, Charlton. And they still have the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Either way, they're looking where they potentially could get a loss.
Yeah, that's true.
Notre Dame could run the schedule undefeated. They would be the #1 team in the country, Charlton.
Wow.
And they don't have a conference championship game to play in. So all of those teams have multiple opportunities to lose, Charlton, during the regular season and even in your conference championship game. Because Notre Dame doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those scenarios when you look at it, Charlton. Is it an advantage or is it an unfair advantage?
Yeah.
When you look at Notre Dame's perspective because they're an independent.
Yeah.
But I do know that the committee would love to see Notre Dame #1.
Yeah.
They would love to see Alabama lose. They would love to see Clemson lose. Because at that point, like you said, there's only a USC that's left in front of them that has lost a couple times already this year, Charles.
Yeah, yep, that's true, Big C. Big C, I think I just spotted Kim Kardashian walking around the city in North Carolina. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's sure a lot of people following her, that entourage. I won't be one of them, but I understand why they follow Big C. Sometimes you wish you could all be California sunshine. Are there too many sports, though? And this is anathema. This is like saying there's too much money in that lotto ticket you won last night, Big C. Are there too many sports on TV, the NFL, college football, the NBA, NHL? I mean, college basketball started last night, but Duke, they ran all over Virginia Union. I thought it was almost like the Civil War they run all over so bad. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, man, you said we even got the World Series going on right now. So when you talk about an overbearing amount of sports, and this is what we talked about even in politics, is that people are paying so much attention to the sports that's going on. And right now, all the midterm elections in the next 2 weeks. And all the early voting started a week ago. And people are paying more attention to their fantasy teams, Charlton, than they are about getting out to vote. You know, right then early ballot, send it in, don't worry about the voting day, in November. Just send the early ballot in. But, you know, this is a distraction in America when we look at it. And you think about who puts all of these sports on and tries to distract you from what's really going on in society. When you look at our society today, Charlton, in America, there was an attempted assassination attempt on 2 former presidents.
Wow.
And several politicians. Because of these pipe bombs were mailed, Charlton, to them. granted, and fortunate enough, the CIA that does such a marvelous job in our country, Charleston, protecting our elected officials and presidents and former presidents and families, Charleston, intercepted these packages. But, I can't help but think, when we look at the rhetoric that comes out of our Oval Office today, Charleston, about we're going to take our country back, about fake news, and CNN was one of the targeted people of this.
Really?
And when you talk about they had a pipe bomb there. They had to evacuate CNN in New York.
Today?
There was a pipe bomb sent to the Clintons. There was a pipe bomb sent to the Obamas. Kamala Harris, there was one sent to her.
Wow.
There was one sent to, and I'm trying to think of the gentleman, he's the largest contributor to the Democratic Party. And he lives about 8.5 miles from the Clinton. One was sent to him. He's a billionaire.
Wow.
To political figures, Charleston, in the Democratic Party leaders, these pipe bombs are sent to them. But I look at the rhetoric about beat them up. We're going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Lock them up. It comes out of the White House. So, his wife talks about be best, the bullying, to leave people alone. All of this rhetoric that he spews out on his campaign trail, he's always had these people because he said, if you beat them up, I will pay your defense. I will bail you out.
Yeah.
This was on his campaign trail.
That's right.
And now we have one of these yahoos that listens to his rhetoric, sending out these pipe bombs to elected and former elected officials here in the United States.
Wow.
And so we got to find some civility in this country. I know we pay a lot of attention to sports, and we get bombarded with all these sports now that's on television. You got every major sport that can be played being played at one time. And we didn't even mention ladies volleyball in college. That's on all the time.
Yeah.
College hockey's being played all the time. So all of these sports, college soccer's being played. So, you can't find a channel that this stuff is not playing. But the seriousness of what happened today, that all of these packages were mailed to all these elected officials. And the thing about it, that this person was so vindictive, is that the return address was to one of the people that he even mailed a pipe bomb to, a congresswoman out of Florida.
Wow.
That's a Democrat.
Wow.
So he had the return address to come back to her. So, because one of the packages was returned back to her.
Wow.
So, to her office. But, all of this rhetoric that's coming from our Oval Office about the violence. And yesterday, for the first time, he sat there and said he had no evidence of the stuff that he was talking about. But his base didn't care because he said it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the caravan that's coming up out of Mexico, and that's, similar to what you talked about, the Hong Kong money coming into
EB5,
San Francisco.
Yeah, with $1 million.
Is that he said, well, there were Taliban. He had good intel that there were Taliban people in this caravan coming up from Guatemala.
Wow.
And he said, that there was rapists and murderers in this Taliban, even though all these little children and infants were in this Taliban. But today, when he had an opportunity to say that the rhetoric that I've used has probably caused a lot of these problems in America.
Yeah.
I need to tone it down and become more civil as a leader.
Yeah.
I need to stop being divisive in this country and try to bring this country together. Because what he's been spewing was a direct consequence of what today happened, Charleston. 2 former presidents of the United States, an attempted assassination of them.
Wow.
And that's coming from the White House rhetoric, Charleston.
I tell you, I didn't know that, Big C, and thank you for letting me know. I've been over in the city just doing some more things and dealing with the celebration that we had for Alexander Leidesdorff. I think that all that we can do on Big C Sports is just tell people Google everything. Don't even believe us unless you can Google it. I would hope that some of our sports brethren would have that same mantra. We don't want a dumbed down society. We need a society that votes, but you want to be an educated voter, not a sycophant. And we encourage people to do that because that's what changes things. I'm glad that our former presidents are safe. I hate hearing things like that happen, but on Big C Sports, you don't have to tune away from the sports show on Big C Sports to find out what's going on in the world. Big C, I really love what you contribute to that. I do want to say that we hope all is fair in love and war. May there be a great game tonight with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Big C, give me your thoughts one more time on what we can expect to see since you're always so prescient when it comes to that. Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Chuck, as I stated, when the Dodgers don't put their top 4 home run hitters in the lineup, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You know, right now, David Price has always struggled in the playoffs. His last outing, Charlton, he had a marvelous game in the ALCS. He has to continue that tonight, Charlton. They need 5 to 6 strong innings out of David Price. He doesn't give up the long ball. But I think he has a good chance of getting that, Charlton, with those great hitters that Boston has in their lineup. Dodgers not putting their top home run bats in the lineup. Boston should dominate this game once again tonight, Charlton.
Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm looking down at Phoenix, Arizona. You think about all the hype and hoopla since LeBron has come to the Lakers. Every game on television, every time they play. They're 0-3.
Wow.
They're down in Phoenix playing the team in the NBA that had the worst record in the NBA last year, Charlton, but they're not that bad this year. The Lakers have reversed that role. They have the worst record in the NBA.
Wow.
Do they have a chance to go 0-4 tonight in Phoenix, Charlton, against all that young talent?
Well, whether they go 0-4 or not, I hope that people get out and vote, and you can always find out more about why you should vote when you follow Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow the Big C Sports Show on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C, and them good old boys down south, as we always tell you, that's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.